On today's show, the Hawks get their first win of the season in Orlando, and they do it in comeback fashion. We'll break it all down, what it means for the future, and more coming up.
You are Locked On Hawks, your daily Atlanta Hawks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 2085 of the Locked On Hawks podcast. I am your host, Rowland, coming to you deep into the night here on a Friday evening here in late October. And today's podcast is brought to you by folks at FanDuel Sportsbook. And right now, if you're a new customer, bet just $5. If your first bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the FanDuel app. Head to FanDuel.com right now to get started. I also want to encourage you at the top of the podcast, as I always do, to make Locked On Hawks your first listen each and every day. Check us out and subscribe to the show anywhere you get your podcasts. That includes Apple and Spotify. We are also on YouTube, so please like, comment, rate, review, and importantly, tell your friends about this show. We appreciate you being here as always. And for much of tonight, I was kind of preparing mentally to try to not necessarily downplay the result, but for the onslaught of what might be coming. The angst was real in Hawks country, I would say, during this game. But in the end, the Hawks pick up actually a really, really good win. They were down by as many as 14 points, and they were down by 12 points in Orlando with about 9 minutes to go, and playing without two of their top 7 guys in Porzingis and Risacher, which we'll come back to later on in this podcast. But then they had a 15-0 run to kind of change the game right there in itself. It wasn't always easy from there either. It was definitely close down the end. It was tied in the final minute of this game. They closed it out in impressive fashion with a bunch of winning plays. Gueye was fantastic in this game off the bench for the Hawks. Trae had 11 in the fourth quarter. Okongwu had a great second half, for example. Even Asa Newell. Yes, rookie Asa Newell made 2 big plays in the fourth quarter. And it was a total team effort from the Hawks in this game. Same as I would say on Wednesday. If you're new to the show and missed Wednesday, I would definitely recommend listening to that episode, even after kind of a brutal loss for the Hawks. Probably not going to be too high or too low, but at the same time, it certainly has to feel good to erase the taste of what transpired on Wednesday a little bit with a win where the Hawks were underdogs in this game, and I think rightly so. So as far as the game itself, I want to begin by breaking down the defense a little bit because it was night and day better than it was on Wednesday. If you missed anything from Wednesday's game, the number one storyline by far from that game was that the Hawks got decimated in transition defensively and ended up allowing 80-plus points in the paint, just a brutal performance. And it's at least worth noting that Orlando is not exactly the best offensive team in the world. Even with Desmond Bane now on board with the Magic, they're not going to suddenly be an awesome offensive team, but this is a road game for the Hawks against a full-strength Magic team that should at least be good overall this year. And the Hawks did a very, very good job overall defensively in this game on the whole. It wasn't perfect. Like, for instance, without Dyson on the floor, it was pretty dicey at times. That's a pun that was an accident. But on the perimeter, it was not always pretty in the non-Dyson, non-Nikhil lineups in particular defensively. They did allow 37 attempts at the free throw line in this game, which is way too many. But overall, the Hawks had a 105 defensive rating or so in this game. And that is an elite figure. Again, Orlando's offense, not the best. And they let the Magic probably run a little bit more than I think Quinn would probably want to in this game, but it wasn't comical like it was on Wednesday. They only allowed 21 assists in the entire game while creating 21 turnovers. That's a heck of a ratio. 1-to-1 on defense is what you want. Obviously, they held Paolo Banchero to 11 points on 17 shooting possessions. He took one of the worst shots you'll ever see late in the game as well, which was helpful to the Hawks, I would say. And the Magic were shooting the ball really well early on in this game. They're kind of known for not having a bunch of shooting, but they regressed and slowed down to kind of their norm by the end of the game, and that kind of allowed the Hawks to have a pretty good defensive showing on the whole. They did lose the glass in this game, but not in a super lopsided way. It was at least competitive there, and it was certainly, at the very least, a nice bounce back for the defense, especially when you factor in no Risacher, no Porzingis, etc. And even if you factor in the Magic's reluctance to kind of score at times, it was pretty good defensively, and that was, again, night and day from where it was just 48 hours prior in Atlanta. On offense, the numbers were not fantastic, but also I would say, just like on defense, the context is kind of needed on offense too here. I'm not trying to troll, I promise I'm not, but there was some crash outs happening mid-game on social media, which certainly always happens, but, it was kind of, I understood it. The angst was real. After what happened on Wednesday, everyone was kind of on fever pitch coming into the night. And then Atlanta's down 14 points and down 12 points and down 11 points or whatever. And offensively, they weren't scoring. And I'm not saying it was great because it wasn't, but I want to stress two things that were important context pieces. For one, Orlando is an elite defensive team. Like, they've been top 3 in the league the last 2 full seasons in a row in defensive efficiency. They are tremendous defensively. They'll probably be there again. They're at full strength in this game. So you're on the road against an elite defense. That's important context. And the second thing is the Hawks started this game 2 for 20 from 3. And I know they were already down 2 of their better shooters in Porzingis and Risacher. That definitely matters. And it's certainly kind of a bit that I do to say, hey, shooting variance is a real thing in the NBA. But they were down 11 points after about 2.75 quarters in this game, in large part because they were 2 of 20 from 3. Not entirely why, but even if they were 5 of 20, which is still bad, they would have been down like 3. Like, they were not playing that poorly. They were shooting that poorly through 3 quarters. The rest of the game, not a coincidence, they were 6 of 9 from 3, which is obviously super duper hot and not sustainable, but they were plus 15 from that point forward. So when the Hawks, this is obviously too reductive on purpose, but when they made shots, they were really, really good. When they missed all the shots, they were not so good on offense. But if you kind of average things out, go like play by play, possession by possession, process stuff, it wasn't elite offensively. I'm not telling you it is. There's still stuff that they have to get figured out. In particular, some of the ball movement was not the best so far in this game. But I think that I would not be pulling my hair out too much, I would say, about the offense. They still put up basically like 40th percentile offensive efficiency for the league, which is not good. But when you factor in Orlando's defense, the absence of Porzingis, absence of Risacher, and they still only shot 28% from 3 in the game on the road. Like, it was pretty reasonable overall. Now, they still aren't generating offensive rebounds really at all, which is certainly a question I have moving forward. Like, in previous years, it was a lot of Capella in that area, for example. Porzingis that's not going to be his area of expertise on the offensive glass. Okongwu was good. Jalen's pretty good. That's kind of it there. Also, ball movement wise, again, not the best at this point in time, but they did take 40% of their shots at the rim, which is a really good number against Orlando or anybody. They were above league average in half court efficiency. Again, on the road in Orlando, that's pretty impressive. They won the turnover battle pretty solidly in this game. Trae wasn't awesome, but he ended up playing really well in the fourth quarter, for example, had a good game overall. And there's more to come in a second on this. But again, I'll just say this, like, if you throw in the context, and I'm big on context, I really am. If you're new to the podcast, I probably overload on context. But the Hawks were 6-point underdogs at tip-off in this game. And I think rightfully so, given that they were down 2 players against a full-strength Orlando team, the way they played on Wednesday, all those things. But they never pedaled off. They were competitive the entire game. They made a bunch of plays down the stretch. And you can decide if that like takes all the heat off of Wednesday. I would say probably not all the way off of it. But right now, being 1-1 after these first 2 games, if you said, okay, take away all emotion, take away everything, and just say simulate the 2 games, given the opponent who was available, all that stuff, and say what's the projected record, 1-1 is probably going to be it. Now, they were favored in the game on Wednesday and they lost it. They were underdogs tonight. Doesn't make it all better, but 1-1 feels pretty good compared to 0-2, and that comeback was very impressive from the Hawks in the fourth quarter of this game. Now, I'll get into how it unfolded in a second. Lots of context about the rotation, what it means for Porzingis, Risacher not to be there. The rotation stuff is really interesting in this game. And then also I'll kind of go play-by-play at the end of this game. We'll get into all of that and more after a word from our partners. Your ambition just met its match. With Robinhood, you play for the win. Not just on game day, every day. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from desktop with Robinhood's Legends advanced tools. Or take advantage of the new Robinhood Strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, the place to go is Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. The NBA is heating up, and DoorDash has found a perfect way to keep their fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching for the highlights or fantasy team or just actually your favorite player potentially, DoorDash makes every single game night even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the bag drop. Every time an NBA player has 50 points or more, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day, and you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. We're talking about player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, and stuff that you'll actually want. With DoorDash, I love that it's not just food. You get everything from snacks and drinks to headphones, ice, even socks, all delivered to you. And DoorDash has you covered for late night highlights, lots of watch parties, and double OT fuel ups as well. So the next time actually somebody has 50 points or more in the NBA, use promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash members only, 50% off up to $10 the day after 50-point game with promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. All right, before I dive back into the game, a PSA for listeners and viewers of this podcast. I said the same on Wednesday. I want to just say it one more time, at least one more time now. During the season, there'll be an extra show on the Locked On Hawks audio and YouTube feeds after games. It's called the Postcast. You will have already seen it after the opener on this feed on Wednesday. This year, the network's trying more of a bite-sized approach, and I'm told that it will actually be on the shorter side. It'll be happening after the games and closer to the final buzzer. I will not be on that show. I'll still be doing post-game media stuff, covering the Hawks in person, etc. when it's happening. But I want to stress that there's absolutely nothing less from me at all. Still the same full, comprehensive coverage of the Hawks as always. The usual 5 episodes or so per week, all's wrong with me. So questions, well, I'm sure will keep coming in, but as a PSA, I want to get that out there for you if anybody missed it after the last game, and we'll dive back into the game now. So I gave you the big picture already about what transpired in this game. I do have to talk about the rotation, and that begins with 2 guys who missed the game. So the big drama pregame was that Porzingis did not play. And about 3 hours or so before tip-off, the Hawks announced he was out with flu-like symptoms. And Lauren Williams of the AJC, who's on the scene in Orlando, saw him at shoot-around on Friday morning, reported he participated in the shoot-around, but then began feeling ill this afternoon before the game. Without his history, this would be a totally normal thing that no one would have really been questioning too much, I don't think. But the reaction online and other places was, I'm sure, just way bigger because obviously Porzingis has a history of injury issues, health issues, etc. It ranged from conspiracies about his health stuff with his illness last season, speculation about the Hawks sitting him out on purpose on the back-to-back. For what I'll say for now is that I'll stick to what we know. Quib was asked about this pregame, get kind of a non-answer. We know this. He got sick today. We'll see beyond that. We don't know about tomorrow. We don't know about what it's actually the sickness is besides flu-like symptoms, all those things. I am confident about one thing. The Hawks were not just like doing a stealth thing to rest him in this game. If they wanted to sit him, they could just sit him. They don't have to go through the rigmarole. Boston sat him a lot last year. There was no fines. It was just fine. Everybody understands the deal with Porzingis. So they wouldn't have to do all of the like back and forth if they wanted to sit him. We'll see about tomorrow. And I get all of the angst, but for me, I would just say, if this was anybody else, would you panic this much? And the answer is probably no. So we'll see. And if I have more, I will pass that along in a second. And really probably tomorrow and beyond. Now, Risacher missed the game as well. A less shocking absence. He sprained the ankle in front of the entire world on Wednesday. We all kind of saw that. He was hobbling in the game on Wednesday. He was questionable until game time today. If there was any doubt, I would say probably lean toward not playing him because it's not really worth risking it. Quinn, again, give kind of a non-answer on both guys. So we'll see about tomorrow. It's a back-to-back for the Hawks. But those guys, long story short, were out in this game. And I've been saying this all summer long, but the Hawks have 7 starters. That's kind of the superpower this season is they have these like top 7. It's like very clear top 7. Now it's a top 5 or a top 5.5 or top 6, whatever you want to say it is. Rotationally, it was interesting. So Okongwu had foul trouble early on. And one of the questions I had was that I thought Gueye was going to play for sure. But like, would Mo play center? And he played a little bit of center. Mostly at the 4, but he played a little bit of center in this game. He was the first backup center, I would say. And Mo, in typical Mo fashion, offensively early in the game was kind of an adventure. But defensively, he made a huge impact all the way through. And offensively, he was also very helpful. After the first few minutes, he was kind of a little bit trigger happy, I would say. He settled in, played very, very well. Like individually, he might have been the biggest story of the game for the Hawks overall. Elsewhere, it was Kennard is the first guard in. No surprise there. Krejci played in this game after a DNP on Wednesday. They ran a lineup that had Trae, Kennard, and Veit together. Don't love that in general. And one thing that stuck out the entire game, I'll probably say this again later on too. I didn't quite understand the approach with Dyson and Nikhil in this game. I think some of it probably had to do with the back-to-back tomorrow. Like no one played more than 33 minutes for the Hawks in this game, which is probably less than I would have thought coming in with the injuries. But they decided to kind of play Nickeil and Dyson together more than staggering them. And that left them playing 15 minutes in this game without either of them on the floor, which was baffling to me. I didn't understand that at all, regardless. In the first quarter, I think it was only 9 guys that played in the first quarter. And then the 10th was Keaton Wallace, who played 11 minutes off the bench. It came in to begin the second quarter. And then they used both N'Faly Dante and Asa Newell. So the Hawks played a lot of guys. The only guys who were active and there who did not play were two ways: Caleb Houston and Jacob Toppin. Everybody else played. And Onyeka had a rough first half, as we'll talk about later on, but it was they kind of emptied the clip rotationally in this game, for better and also for worse, I will say. Now, it was kind of a filling out period early in the game, like pretty physical all the way through. These teams don't really love each other, I don't think. There was some chippiness throughout this game. The Hawks were down 3 early on because of some shooting issues. Quinn won his first challenge of the year, which is good to see. The Hawks actually were up by 1 in the first quarter, despite shooting 1 of 8 from 3, and defensively it was really good. If the Hawks had lost, I would probably even do more on what I'm about to say than I am going to do anyway, but I'm a process person, and the Hawks began the second quarter and the fourth quarter with a lineup that had Keaton Wallace, Vit Krejci, and Luke Kennard together. That was, for me, absolutely insane. I don't understand why they did that. I said that in real time. It didn't work. And it goes back to partly what I was saying about Dyson and Nickeil maybe being staggered. But if you're going to do that, I just don't get it at all. And look, if they lost, I would bet you this even stronger. They gave up a 15-6 run to begin the quarter with that group on the floor. And through about 3 quarters, that was essentially the gap in the game, was those 4 minutes. They got nuked, and it was so foreseeable, and I didn't understand it at all. I'll stop ranting for now. Beyond that, I mentioned before, but the 3-point shooting was just not kind at all. At one point, the Hawks were 1 of 11 from 3, and the Magic at that point were 5 of 8 from 3. And for a little bit of good measure, they only really have one great shooter, Desmond Bane, and he was 0 of 3. So that means everybody else was 5 of 5. He was 0 of 3, and the Hawks were 1 of 11. It's a random sport sometimes. It's just tough. There's kind of a dust-up between Mo Gueye and Paolo Banchero. That was actually a technical foul on Mo for some reason. I still can't figure out why. It was a long review. Odd call on Mo. I would say the first half minutes for the N'Faly Dante, Asa Newell duo were not good. Asa was just overmatched defensively. Dante doesn't really have the goodwill that Asa has. Obviously, is not a first-round pick of the Hawks. I thought Dante was not as bad as everybody else thought he was, but offensively, he was certainly very jittery and probably nervous, I would say, coming in, and it was a bit of an adventure. Jalen was in foul trouble the entire game, as we'll talk about later, too. He had 5 fouls in 26 minutes. It was just a lot for him. They had some chances, but they were, again, 2 of 14 from 3 in the first half and down by 10 at halftime. It was pretty good in the third quarter for a while. There was an obscene pass by Trae to Okongwu for an easy bucket. That was nice. But then Orlando kind of made some jump shots again. It was back to 13. Jalen got in deep foul trouble. He had 5 by the end of the third quarter. And then got a technical foul going off the floor at the same time. The Hawks, though, did show some life late in the third, including a Mo Gueye 3. At that point, again, they were 2 of 20 at that point, but he made a 3. And that showed some life. Then they came out in the fourth with the Wallace, Kennard, Krejci trio again. And in my notes, it says, I cannot believe this is happening again. Now, to be fair, it was not as disastrous in the fourth quarter. In the second quarter, it was a disaster. The big difference was they actually made a couple threes. Vit made 1 and Keaton made 1. That allowed them to stay afloat early on in the fourth. And then when the starters came back in, the run really came. They used Asa Newell. And honestly, I thought it was very strange that they tried Asa when they did. It was with 8 minutes to go in the game. And he hadn't played in 2.5 quarters. It was a very strange time to do that. But Okongwu needed a breather, it looked like. And they didn't want to go with Mo at center. So they went with, Mo at center with nobody else next to him because Jalen had 5 fouls at this point too. But Asa comes in, gets a corner 3 that was his first NBA bucket and makes it. And then he gets another energy play for a dunk from Trae in transition. And look, Asa wasn't some incredible force, but his energy level was really helpful. And also his defense, which is probably his problem right now on the floor as a rookie, was not he's playing next to Mo, which was very helpful, I would say, for that. So long story short, he got a little bit of a little mini streak there. That was fun. His first big moment in the NBA, fun to watch that. And it was part of the big run. And I mentioned before, but it was a 15-0 run to go from down by 12 to up by 3 after Trae made a 3 at like the 6-minute mark of the fourth quarter. It was their first lead since it was 27-26. And again, after they went 2 of 20 from 3, they made 5 of their next 6 to positively regress, we'll say. From there, it was back and forth the entire rest of the way. The Hawks closed with the starting 5, so they brought Nickeil and Dyson back in with Trae, Jalen, and Okongwu. I won't go through the entire back and forth, but they got some stops. They traded. They were up 5 with like 2.5 minutes to go. It was like they were kind of in control. Then they had a possession string where they missed some pretty good looks. So Jalen missed a pretty good look over Bane. Trae missed a catch and shoot 3 on the next trip. That was a good look, although it was late in the shot clock, and Jalen probably should have shot it, but he had just missed. I think it probably led to part of why he passed out of that. And then Nickeil missed a pretty, I would say, shaky shot selection 3 on the next trip. So 3 trips in a row, they don't score. Then they have a chance to get a big stop, and they fail to get a rebound twice in a row against Orlando, which was certainly unfortunate. They could call for a loose ball foul. Orlando's in the bonus. They make both, and suddenly it's back to a tie game with 54 seconds left in the game. They call timeout, and Trae gets to the free throw line, not actually to the line, but like he gets to a floater at that spot. Vintage Trae buries it from 14 feet. That's a big shot in the game. They call timeout. Orlando does. And my friend and guest frequently, Glenn Willis of ATL 29, tweeted that he would throw his laptop out of the hotel room window if Mo Gueye was not on the floor after the timeout on defense. Well, I agree with that, but Mo wasn't on the floor yet. And the Hawks allowed a penetration and an easy layup at the rim. That was a mistake by all parties, I will say. But that did only tie it. And then the Hawks didn't get a 2-for-1, but Trae drew a foul and made both free throws. So that gave the Hawks the lead again with 21 seconds to go. And this time, another timeout. And I'm thinking they have to take Trae off the floor. And they did. And they went with Mo, which I agree with 100%. That was the right decision. They went big. They went rangy. And defensively, out of that timeout, it was really good. Now, I have to say, Paolo Banchero took a terrible shot, which, hey, kudos to the defense. Still got some help there. But then Nickeil and Mo scramble on the floor, get the ball. Mo calls timeout because they had one left. And that was the big swing of the game. So they got that stop there. They get the timeout in. And all they have to do from that point forward is just get the ball in bounds. They put Trae back in. They get it to Trae. And they don't foul right away for some reason. Orlando didn't foul until like 1 second left in the game. At that point, you're probably safe either way. But Trae made both. And you won by 4. So, look, it wasn't always pretty. After taking mini control late, it got back to a tie game. They never trailed in the last few minutes of the game. Trae made a bunch of big plays. The floater and the free throws were huge from him. Defensively, Mo made that huge play down the stretch along with Nickeil. But look, they gutted this one out. It's a great win. This is the kind of win that you need to get if you're going to be a high 40s, 50s kind of win team along the way, and they did it. So that's all I have on the play-by-play / more detailed portion of this podcast. But lots of good things, and they could have rolled over. Like they were down again 12 with 9 minutes to go, and all they did was scratch, claw, make plays, and pull this game out. All right, more to come in a second when it comes to player evaluations and more after a word from our partners. Let's be real. Making excuses does not actually solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired, or it happens to everyone sometimes. When it comes to performance, sometimes your body actually just needs a little bit more of extra support, and that's where Risacher comes in. Risacher.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Risacher makes it easy to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor. It's 100% online with no awkward waiting rooms and no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment can actually ship discreetly to you and straight to your door as well. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's handled by real doctors as well. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter to you. Visit Rugiet, that's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNBA, and get 15% off your first order. That's Rugiet. One more time, that's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNBA. And don't forget to use that code, it's LockedOnNBA, so they actually know that we sent you to them. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. The NFL season is ongoing right now. FanDuel has an offer that you absolutely do not want to miss. Right now, if you're a new customer at FanDuel, you can actually bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win that first bet. That's right. Pick a bet, Put down $5, and if it hits, you unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the FanDuel app. FanDuel's great in so many different ways. One reason it really fits anything that you like to look at in the sports betting space. They have it, whether it's player props, parlays, same-game parlays, straight bets when it comes to over-unders, money lines, point spreads. They have future bets, even live betting as the action unfolds. It makes watching football even more exciting. Same goes for basketball and baseball as well. You have a little bit something extra riding on the action. And they have all the sports you can think of across the board for football, the NBA, of course, college basketball, college football. They have hockey, golf, tennis. They have soccer, both domestic and international leagues, auto racing, boxing, MMA, and so much more. Whether you're a casual fan or you just love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game experience so much better for you across the board. FanDuel is quick, it's easy, and a fast payout when you win, and it's the best way to add a little bit more energy to your game days this fall and this winter. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com, download the FanDuel app, and get started today. All right, so the player evaluations in this game, and it was a deep bench for the Hawks. 11 guys played in this one, including 4 minutes each for N'Faly Dante and Asa Newell. I think that's usually going to be one role, but with Mo Gueye's versatility, they were able to play both guys in kind of different roles. So Dante played 4 minutes. He had 3 rebounds. He's a great rebounder, by the way, dating back to the G League as well. Had a bad turnover where he kind of just lost the ball out of bounds. I thought defensively he was fine. Offensively, jittery, but nothing really huge takeaway there. Asa made 2 of his 3 shots, including the big corner 3, had 1 foul, and was certainly a positive. But I would worry, and I think I'm not trying to pile on Asa, who I like. I think if you look at his defensive film from the preseason schedule, it was revealing that he's not quite ready, let's just say, and that's the nice way I'll say it. But certainly love to see him having success and a guy that I believe in as a future piece for the Hawks. Keaton Wallace played the next least minutes, 11 minutes for Keaton. He was -7 in those minutes, 2 assists, a rebound. Did make a 3 in the fourth quarter. His first stint was pretty rough. Second stint was definitely better. I still think Keaton probably shouldn't be playing as much as he is, but it was more understandable today with Risacher out than it was on Wednesday. Vit Krejci, defensively, I thought was pretty rough, actually. Had 5 points, hit a 3 in the second half, had 2 rebounds and an assist. I still think Vit is probably a little bit more, I would kind of lean to Vit over Keaton, but Vit has not played well. I will say that for like a week and a half, 2 weeks now. Preseason games, today's game, it's at least a mild question on him moving forward. This is a kind of a fun one. Luke Kennard, 6 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds, had a steal as well, was +11 in 23 minutes. So that's all pretty positive, right? Luke Kennard has to shoot. I know it's been a topic already. Luke did not take a 3 in this game, and that just cannot happen. Luke Kennard cannot play this much and not shoot a single 3. And it's not just that. I think people are overreacting on Kennard. Like people are like, oh, he's terrible. No, he wasn't terrible at all. He just didn't take threes. He's got to take threes because defensively it is what it is. I think Luke was not a disaster, but he's just got to let it fly from 3. He just has to, and he's not so far. Mo Gueye was, again, for me, the brightest spot overall in this game. 13 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. They had 3 turnovers, and one of them was pretty bad. But look, +21 in 30 minutes in a game you won by 4. Like, that's not all that, but man, he was everywhere. And I still believe Mo is a pretty solid negative on offense, which is part of why he's in the role he's in. But defensively, he's just a game-changing guy. I mean, he's not, Wemby, but like he's really, really good defensively and active and rangy and versatile and all those things. And I love to see him play that well. It brings the question, like, what do you do when you have everybody available? In the first game we saw, they played the entirety of 96 minutes at the 4 and the 5 with Jalen, Onyeka, and Porzingis. I would try to be playing Mo in every game. Now, does that mean you play those guys less? Not necessarily a ton less. Maybe that means Jalen plays some 3 every once in a while, which I think is fine. I think he's more of a 4, but he can definitely play some 3. Maybe it's that you're playing Onyeka a little bit less sometimes. Maybe it's like you're trying to keep Porzingis fresh, whatever it's going to be. If Keaton Wallace is playing more than Mo Gueye, that's a problem, I would say. I know they're different players, different positions, all that. But like Mo is, for me, probably their 9th best player, 8th best player, one of those. He's got to play, and we'll see how much he plays. But I thought he was awesome in this game, even if I'm not trying to overreact too much. His defense is from last year that was kind of already proven to be a pretty good factor for him. To the starters, I'll go with Dyson first. Dyson had 6 points and was awesome in this game, and both can be true at the same time. 6 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and a block for Dyson. He was plus 10 in the game. I thought he was excellent. The only knock on Dyson is that he missed a layup that he probably should make, and he went 0 of 2 at the line. But defensively, he was tremendous in this game, even by his standards. Like, I know he didn't have 5 steals or 8 steals or whatever. He was awesome. Like, flying around, containing ball handlers, making switches, helping on the backside. His block was awesome in this game too. Like, he was really, really good. Shouts to him. Okongwu had a pretty bad first half and then woke up and was really good in the second half. So hopefully there's more of that to come. 17 points for Onyeka, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 fouls, 3 block shots, a couple nice highlight plays. Again, he was a big factor in why they came back. He was really good late in the game. Jalen was quiet because of the foul trouble, 12 points, 8 rebounds in 26 minutes. The 5 fouls were the biggest thing for him. He was uneven. Like, I don't think he was terrible, and a couple of those foul calls were a little bit suspect, but he wasn't a huge factor in the way that he probably will be in most games. Nikhil had kind of a funny game, 19 points, so only short of Trae on offense as far as scoring is concerned. He was 7 of 8 on 2s and 1 of 10 on 3s. And I think people that don't know Nikhil very well are wondering why he has been so aggressive. One thing is that the Hawks want him to be aggressive. That's a big thing. Also, he's not going to shoot 1 of 10 from 3 very often. This is a guy who shot like 38.5% over the last 2.5 years from 3. So, yeah, it feels like he's shooting too much when he's going to shoot 1 for 10 from 3. I get that. But I thought he was pretty good defensively. He had 4 assists, didn't make mistakes, like a couple 4 shots for sure, but nothing crazy. And they want him to be aggressive. And unlike Kennard, he's actually listening to that encouragement from the coaching staff. And then Trae led the team with 25 points, 6 assists for him, only 1 turnover for Trae, which is a really good night for him. He wasn't very good from 3, 1 of 6, but he got to the line 12 times. He was 6 of 12 on 2s, which is totally fine, 50%. And I thought he played pretty well. Defensively, still not doing quite enough. I think Trae could be better than he's been defensively through the first 2 games. But you definitely see in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, like he can still turn it up on offense. He was the sun, moon, and stars for the offense late, and that's not a huge surprise. He was pretty good. I still think Mo was the standout by his baseline. Even Dyson, I thought, was just like excellent in this one. But a total team effort across the board. Everybody that played, short of maybe like Veet and Keaton, like had standout moments that I can remember right now from this game. So there you go on that. All right, before we get out of here, a quick look ahead and a quick turnaround. The Hawks play on Saturday in Atlanta. It's a back-to-back. They're probably already in there as I'm recording this podcast. It's obviously not a tough spot because the Thunder are the reigning champions, and they were off today. But they have played 2 overtime games so far, and also, importantly, they are not healthy at all. So I don't want to overstimulate on this too much, but the injury report is already out for Oklahoma City because they didn't play today. Jalen Williams, Alex Caruso, Isaiah Joe, and Kenrich Williams are all out already. That's 4 guys in their top 11 are already out, including the number 2 guy in Jalen Williams, their best defender in Alex Caruso, etc. They also have Chet Holmgren and Cason Wallace as questionable. So at the very least, the Hawks will see a not full strength Thunder team, and it is at home. Now we'll see what the what FanDuel says once we kind of know what's going to happen with the Hawks injury report. I think as of right now, I'm pulling it up in real time. Even at home, the Hawks are underdogs. Actually, similar underdogs to what they were today. At the moment at FanDuel, it's 6 points. So basically the same line as they were in Orlando. That will change a little bit if Chet doesn't play, I would imagine. But a tough spot, not as tough as it looked probably, 2 days ago. But also you have to remember that we may not see Porzingis. We may not see Risacher, and we'll see how that all goes. So stay tuned. I'll have full coverage as always after the game on Saturday night. I'll be in the building for that one, and that will be an interesting game to break down. But again, one more time on this show, a really good win for the Hawks. It doesn't fix everything, but it's certainly better than it would have been if the Vibes were at 0-2 and would have been pretty dire. So stay tuned. I'll have a full breakdown of the game tomorrow as well. Tell your friends about the podcast. Tell them that Locked On Hawks is here for them all the time. Full seasons, full years. I am not going away really ever. I do a show each and every week, and more than one show every week of the entire year. So keep it locked. Subscribe to the podcast. Tell your friends, and we'll see you all next time.